everyone, and we are live. It's a fantastic motivational Monday. Well, just Monday in general, right? And what did everybody do this weekend? I want to know. So let me know right now what you did this weekend. And of course, I'm Vanessa Lane. This is Video Tips with Vanessa, and today we're live for an impromptu live on a fantastic Monday. And I'm hoping that it's a little bit motivating for you. So what did I do this weekend? I went and boot, scoot, and boogieing. Is that how you do it? Boot, scoot, and boogieing? I went line dancing with my biz bestie, Brandy, Hollaway, and my husband. Yes, we all went line dancing. Let me tell you, we all got to take some lessons. But we had so much fun getting on the dance floor and just relaxing and just being with each other, just having some fun and not stressing out at all. And I wanted to start with that. I had a lot of wonderful conversations recently, and I've been doing a lot of interviews recently. And last week, I had one of the most fantastic interviews in a long time with one of our previous Fire Day guests. His name is Brian Schulman. He always talks about hashtag voicing your vibe. And I know he's going to be on today, so I'm going to look for him. But if you haven't met Brian Schulman, I want you to go ahead and connect with him. Hey, Carly Vega. Yes, connect with Brian Schulman right now. Hey, girl, how's it going? What'd you do this weekend? So I talked to Brian this past week while interviewing him, and I learned a little bit more about his why he does what he does. We were talking about LinkedIn, we were talking about LinkedIn Live, and you'll see that interview on LinkedIn Live later. And something came up about why in general, why he does what he does and why I do what I do. And then it dawned on me that, well, I haven't told my why of my story. And there's a lot, but I'm going to talk about just one part of that story of why I do video, why I'm so passionate about going live, why I want to talk to you, why I want to connect with you, why I want to connect with amazing people like Carly Vega with Makeup by Vega, hey girl, like Brian Schulman, with all these amazing people, why I do what I do. So let's talk about stories, and I want you to drop your why as I'm talking. All right, so I finished college when I was about 25, and I had a theater degree. I've been doing theater since I was 5 because I always liked to put on masks. And I don't know, maybe you can relate to this. It was easier and more fun to be somebody else. And for me, being me was the hardest thing in the world to be. And tell me if you relate. Tell me if you know what that feels like, of walking into a networking event and wishing that you could wear one of those little masks and being somebody else. So for me, I always loved the theater. And when I left the theater when I was 25, I had this fork in the road. And I got accepted to a baking program here on the East Coast at the Culinary Institute of America. And I also got accepted to a master's program in theater. And both of them were drastically expensive. I mean, mind-boggling expensive. And I was a poor college student, and I didn't know what to do. And my thought was, well, my parents are in Hawaii. They're living their second childhood in Hawaii. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go visit them and be a piece of wood on their doorstep. Yes, I was one of those kids that actually said, knock, 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 guess who's home? Me, I'm home. I was definitely one of those kids, yes. And what turned into a couple weeks of vacation turned into 6 months. I got a job, a real job. I temped a lot of places. And I never did anything in college. I never went anywhere in college. I didn't date anyone in college. And I thought, well, this is my chance. I'm in Hawaii. I'm going to start bar hopping. So I got all dressed up in some cute little outfit. And I started to walk out the door. And then my mom's like, oh, you look super cute. Where are you going? And I said, I'm going to go bar hopping. And she's like, well, what's that? I explained to her, you go get a drink, you go get a drink, you go get a drink. And she's like, can I come? And I'm like, no. And I'm texting my sister, and I'm going, she's like, I'm like, do I really let my parents go bar hopping with me? And she's like, yes. So I was like, okay, Mom, you can come. I finished, she got all dressed up. We're about to walk out the door, and my dad looks at us, and he goes, wow, you guys look cute. Where are you going? I'm like, no, this is not happening. We're going to go bar hopping. I'm going to be a 25-year-old going bar hopping with my mom and my dad. And that was a thing. And we did that every Friday night. We went bar hopping. And after the third bartender that I had gone out with, my mom had enough. She's like, this ain't happening. So she Googled, and there was this local event by Cupid.com, and it was called 6-Minute Speed Dating. And so she actually filled out the form for me, and she's like, I just need a credit card. I just need a credit card. And I'm like, credit card for what? And she's like, 6-minute speed dating event. And I'm like, no. So needless to say, not only did I sign up, or I should say she signed me up for the 6-minute speed dating, she actually dropped me off. I was one of those kids, and she picked me up. Yes, I was one of those kids. That night, I met, I think, 12 men. We did rotate. It had the little bell and everything. And my husband was one of 3. Yes, 3 of those 12 men I went on dates with. And he was the third that I went on a date with. So 3 months later, we went on our first date on June 10th, 2005. 3 months after that, on my birthday, on September 10th, he proposed. And 9 months, so on the 1-year anniversary, which is June 10th, 2006, we were married. And I love you. I really do, honey. I love you. And everything was great, and everything was fine, and everything was really hunky-dory. And then I got pregnant. Oh my gosh. And it was several years later I got pregnant. I was 29 and I got pregnant, so 3 years later. And then when I was 30, our little beautiful bundle of joy, Annika Noelani, who gave her Hawaiian middle name, Lane, came into this world. And she was beautiful, and she was wonderful. And I got sick. I got really sick. And it was 9 months. 9 months of like vertigo. I had lots of sensation. I felt like I couldn't walk some days. And I had to quit my job. It was so bad. It was so bad of this 9 months of feeling. And God bless my husband. My husband took me to every possible doctor. We had over $15,000 of medical bills that year. We went to rheumatologists, neurologists, you name it, we went to. And he was so hell-bent on figuring out what was wrong with me. And you know what all the doctors said? All the doctors said, you know, she's crazy. She's just got postpartum. It's no big deal. It really isn't. It's no big deal whatsoever. But after the 3rd time that year, I had gone to the ER with full body hives. And then I went to the ER that year with 106-degree fever. It was so serious. The doctors actually pulled my husband aside and said, this is insane. She's got like a really deadly high fever, and we cannot tell her right now. I had spinal tap after spinal tap, and finally I had a neurologist that said, I believe you. It was the 3rd spinal tap, and I had weird things going on in my spine, weird things going on in the fluid. And she goes, I believe you, but I have no idea what's going on. So everybody is saying you're crazy, and you had to quit your job, and you couldn't walk sometimes, and you couldn't work, and you felt horrible. I felt so bad sometimes. I would take my daughter for a walk, and I would have my cell phone gripping it so hard, hoping I wasn't going to pass out. That's how bad I felt. And then the doctor was like, the neurologist said, you know what? It's fine. You guys have always wanted to have a second child. It'll be fine. It'll be okay. I believe you. I believe you, but you can have a second one. So we are really scared, but 3 years later, we got pregnant again. 2.5 years later, I should say, we got pregnant again. And everything started out great until the day before I left to come to Virginia. My husband got a job in Virginia. I started bleeding really bad, and the OB thought I was going to lose the baby. And as soon as we got to Virginia, I scheduled OBs, I scheduled neurologist appointments, I scheduled everything. And what they realized is the neurologist actually looked at me, and I was pregnant, and said, I can't help you. And I'm all like, what do you mean you can't help me? Of course you can help me. I mean, you're like, your OB-wise, he's got you, but I can't physically help you. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, so you have MS. You have lesions on your spine, is what you have. And I'm like, excuse me? I'm like, I'm pregnant. I've got a, almost 3-year-old, and I'm pregnant again. And he said, I can't physically help you. I have to refer you to an MS doctor. So the great thing is like, I realized, shit, I'm not crazy. Like all these things I'm having, all these feelings of, I can't walk down the street, all these feelings of I can't drive, I'm not crazy, great. And then I had this realization that I could lose my husband. Because when I met my husband, his wife passed away at 36 while we were dating, his ex-wife. And we had this conversation while we were dating that we had to be really good about staying healthy because if something other major happened, it could destroy us. So I had this thought of, I'm going to lose him because I'm sick and I can't do anything about it. So long story short, we went through all these doctors and we realized that I don't have full-blown MS. So I have lesions on my spine, and until I have the same lesions in my brain, they can't do any treatment for me. So I see a neurologist every year. I have weird feelings like I did last night. I was driving home from dance class, from salsa class, and I felt so bad. I texted my husband. I was like, you need to be on the phone with me the whole time because I feel like I'm not going to make it home. And I still have that. There are days in which he drives. There are days in which I don't feel like getting out of bed. So I have all these weird feelings, and here's what my point was of my why. So along the process of all these medical things, my husband had started this live streaming thing before 2005 with his friend. They had cameras up in Hawaii. And my husband's like, you know what? You don't need to work right now. Why don't you have some fun? Why don't you take some of the video footage? And why don't you just edit it? Why don't you have some fun? When the kids are sleeping, when the baby's sleeping, why don't you take up iMovie? And so I did. I took up iMovie, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I felt lost, and I felt hopeless, but I started YouTubing. And then what I realized is the same thing that I felt when I was 5, of being on that stage and looking out onto that dark stage when I was 5. I couldn't see someone, but I could feel those heartbeats. I could feel the chuckles in the room, and I could feel the joy, and I could feel the passion, and I could feel all that. And that's something that I didn't realize until I was adult, that's why I loved the theater. It wasn't about hiding, and it was, but it was about feeling all of these emotions, going through this arc, feeling even the characters' emotions, their why, of who they were and why they had the nuances that they did, is each character had that. And while I was editing all these videos, I realized every single video had a why. There was a reason, there was emotion, there was an arc, there was a love. Even in sadness, there was a why as to what that video meant and who it was connecting to, and that was the biggest thing. It wasn't just the why. It was that video was this conduit. This conduit connects someone that's maybe in Virginia to someone that's in the UK to someone that's in Japan. And I fell in love. I fell in love with creating and telling and expressing that why of what was in that video and somebody else's why, to connect, if you will, the heartbeat that was in that room, that was in that video, to somebody else. Because right now I'm honored and blessed to have all of you on with me, but that's why I express this to you, because I love this connection. I love to connect my heart with you, and I love to teach people how to do that, to teach people the confidence to tell their why. Because as Brian Schulman says, if he can just reach just one person, that's all he wants. And if I can just reach just one person and let you hear somebody's why, and let you hear somebody's story. Because the fact of the matter is we don't know how long we have, but we have this moment. And this moment is a blessing. It's a blessing to have. And We can always be worried about what other people are going to think, or we can share this blessing, this why, this thought we have with somebody else. And if we just reach one other person and they stop and they PM you, or they call you, or they message you and they go, it helped. It really did. And so that's my why. I do this. I go live. I teach you how to go live. I do commercials. I live stream. I do all of this because it's this wonderful world of whys. It's this wonderful world, this conduit to be able to connect someone to someone across the world and to almost touch them. And I really feel live does that. And I really feel video does that. You touch someone every day. You really do. You do that with your posts, you do it with your blogs, you do that with your podcast, and video is just another extension. You do that. You give completely so that somebody else can give back. And that's my why. And so I haven't told that. And so there are days that I don't feel good. And you know what I do more than anything else is I embrace the good. Because last night I was scared. When I got home, my husband put up a cuff on me to check my blood pressure to see if we were going to the ER, because there are times in which I do get still full body hives. I have to be rushed to the ER, but we embrace the good. We embrace the moment so that we can have this, so I can feel like that I'm talking to you, so that I'm embracing you. I want to give a big shout out, Brian Schulman. He says you're doing amazing. Thank you, my friend. Janelle Bailey Keene, I love you. Bruce Laterbook, I love you. Annette Lindsay, I love you, girl. Thank you so much. Jessica Council, I miss you too, girl. I love you. So on this amazing Motivational Monday, I want to tell you that you matter. As Brian Schulman says, hashtag, this is his hashtag, voice your vibe. Because it's special. Because it's amazing, because you are amazing, because your why is fantastic. And if you just reach out, there is somebody else going to reach back. And we just need to connect. As human beings, we are blessed to be able to connect with others. So on this Motivational Monday, I'm so blessed and honored to know you all. And thank you for listening to part of my story. Thank you for listening to my why. I hope you have an amazing day. Brian, I can't thank you enough. You are a very dear friend. You are not just a LinkedIn fan. You are an amazing creator, an amazing person, amazing entrepreneur. And please, everyone that's watching, please connect with everybody in the comments. Those that are watching, that's what I want you to tell. Just connect. Just as Brian says, voice your vibe. Tell your why. Reach out. We, as human beings, it's our gift. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you all, and thanks again. Have a good day. Bye.